Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel, live from Doha, live from Qatar. I'm going to go through Wales's lineup, Wales's possible lineup. I'm going to go through what Southgate is quite likely to do. We're going to talk about this Southgate-Foden dilemma that he's kind of created for himself, that he's now trying to get himself out of. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now. It's nice to be live, nice to be chatting to you guys. And if you are a subscriber, you can be in the chat right now. If you're at the moment unable to write in the chat, then it's because you're not a subscriber. So get yourselves involved. Nice to see you all in there. So, where to begin? Let's start with Wales, because I think there's obviously some talking points there. Welsh fans, let me know how you're feeling about this, because as you go into it, you need to do some bits, let's be honest, when it comes to securing that second spot. It looks like it's going to be USA or Iran, but if you can get the job done against England, and obviously you have to win against England, then it can be done. I've watched both Wales games. I've watched both England games, obviously in the stadium. It's been really, really interesting. And when it comes to Wales, what I want to talk about is, first of all, the influence of Kiefer Moore and how important he is. And in the chat, let me know how you're feeling about, first of all, Kiefer Moore. Second of all, which players you feel need to be in this team. Because I'm going to put forward what I think would work best for Wales. But I think there's a talking point with both teams of, do you play 3 or do you play 4 at the back? Let's have a look at Wales first of all, right? Because this is the touch map of Kiefer Moore against Iran, and he did really help the team get higher up the pitch. It was a massive, massive problem in the first game. Bale and Dan James not really getting involved at all. And I think overall, when I think of Wales and problems for Wales, it's that midfield for me. Kiefer Moore will definitely start. He has to start. He's so useful in both boxes, but also just allowing the team to move up the pitch. The big bombshell here, guys, it has to be Ramsey. Do you play Ramsey in this game, or do you suggest that maybe he's better off from the bench, or can you find a way of finding him into this team? Because I think the obvious thing would be to stay in the game if you're Wales and try and get to the last 25, 30 minutes of the game. And then if you really need to go for it, then you have the option to do so. Let's have a look at a possible lineup that could work for them that wouldn't involve Ramsey. I think there's some players that are definitely in there. And what I've got is I've got the formations, so we can actually start to make some tweaks here as well if you have any good thoughts. And we'll do the same for England in just a second. But with Ramsey, if you take him out of the side, it could be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting in the sense that when he's played in this double pivot with Ampadu, I just don't think he's got the legs to do it anymore. I really, really don't. I just don't see the capability in there from him. And let's have a look here. So this is a road that they could go down, Wales, if they want to sort of obviously play Kiefer Moore. For me, the big one here is Brennan Johnson has to be playing for Wales. He has to start. He offers so much in terms of that pace, but also that composure on the ball, the ability to drive past people. This would stick with that back three that they've used, consistently over a very, very long time. Roden, Mepham, Davies on that left-hand side. Nico Williams as the left-sided wing-back, as he has been in the tournament so far. Roberts with that stamina on the right-hand side. Ampadu playing with Allen, who's obviously coming back from injury. But in terms of a double pivot there that's got the legs, this is certainly an option for Wales. I would definitely take Harry Wilson out of this team. I think regardless, I think Harry Wilson should be out of this team. If you disagree with me, let me know in the chat. I'm intrigued to know. But there's some problems here. And I actually wonder if this could turn into a 4 at some stage. I wonder if he'd be brave enough to do it right from the start, Robert Page. And when I was thinking about that occurring, I was actually... let me just get it up here. I think there is still a way to have Ramsey in the team, because what is special about Ramsey is him higher up the pitch. In terms of quality, the two players with the quality are Bale and Ramsey, in my opinion. And also, when those two get together, they're also pretty special as well. And I just wonder if this could work. So check this out. This is and we can make any changes that you want here. You've got Ampadu, and Allen as that double pivot, and instead of a back three, going with a box there, dropping Connor Roberts, put Nico Williams on his natural right-hand side, put Johnson up top, and use that pace that he's got. And actually, if I go to it, and this would be interesting, I mean, he would never do this, right? But what it could drift towards, almost, is Kiefer Moore, Johnson almost as an attacking winger, but Bale as well, like, in possession, you could play quite centrally and see if this could, one, make it difficult for the opposition in terms of England, in terms of them playing the ball out. But it's almost like a 4-2-2-2 because Bale hasn't got the pace to really sort of drive anymore. But you want to get him on the ball, and you also want to get him on the ball in zone 14, because if you can get a shot off, then you're in a good place. And generally, this is the thing for Wales that I think they've really struggled with, is that you relieve pressure by being able to get up the pitch. Obviously, it's going to be Ward in goal, by the way, because Hennessy nearly took someone's head off. I don't think this is what it could go to, right? And also, this becomes quite fluent, right? Because Bale would work these areas here. He's never really going to go beyond. But in the game so far, what's been occurring is that Ramsey's been dropping deep. You've had a centre-back there, but also Bale was playing as this sort of centre-forward up with Moore, and honestly, he's not anywhere near involved at all. Maybe we're at a point now where Bale just is incapable of actually playing in the sort of midfield area because you're going to get let down defensively because he just doesn't have the legs anymore. I'd love to know what Wales fans think about that. Let me know when it comes to the chat, because we'll have a chat about that. But he would work this side. Johnson would offer those legs, but also that quality in wide areas as well. And as I say, the ability to maybe bypass Ampadu and Allen, or just allow Allen and Ampadu to have that option. The way they've been playing so far is Allen has obviously not started. It's been Wilson who's been playing, and Wilson's been playing actually really high up. Bale's been playing here, and this would be another centre back. This would be Roberts, who would actually play on the right-hand side. Williams is playing on this side. This is probably what he'll do, let's be honest. He would probably stick with what he's done so far. But the problem is, when you do this, it feels like there's a lack of creativity. Ramsey feels incapable of sort of the defensive work. And in terms of once you get the ball, Ramsey then sort of leaves it. Ampadu's got to do it all on his own, and he's not really capable of doing it. So they find it difficult to get up the pitch. But Kiefer Moore offers up an outlet, and you can play around him. But for me, Wilson needs to do so much more, and he hasn't done so. So take him out and let that be Allen. Let Ramsey be Wilson to a point, and look, you could go that route as well, where you maybe let Ramsey and Bale offer up that little bit of magic. I feel like you're lacking a bit of pace there, but at least you've got the quality there. And then you put someone like Allen, or I guess some people are calling for Morel as well, could be in that position. That might be another route for them when it comes to Wales. And I'm intrigued. Let's have a look at the chat and see what you guys are saying when it comes to this, because... Oh, hang on, let me zoom that. See if you can still see it, hopefully. Yeah, there you go. You can still see that team. I'm intrigued to know what you guys have got to say. And we're going to move on to England in just a second. Let's have a look. Starting Desmond formation. That's good. Wales needs 4 goals. Yeah, they've kind of got to go for it. So that's why I wonder if they even do go with that 4-0. I mean, they only need 4 goals for England to go out. That's the thing. That's the thing. Ramsey's got a start. Says 0. Top of the group is a disadvantage. Sure, I'd agree with that. Did I say Reece James? Sorry, Dan James. Southgate out, we're getting. Start Callum Wilson. Well, let's move on to England. Because England, this is interesting. So it looks like Henderson is going to be playing. And I could imagine a lot of people rolling their eyes at this. But there's a few conversations to be had when it comes to England. I think you got the midfield, which wasn't good. Bellingham in terms of third man runners, yes, he's really strong in that, but I think him and Declan Rice weren't great in midfield. And when Henderson came on, I thought he was great. He showed really, really good energy. He sets the tone and the standards of the rest of the team. And I think the important thing is that if you play in this game, that doesn't mean you're playing in the next game. That's the thing that Southgate's got to really kind of think about, is what is the best way of, one, safeguarding the team, but also, starting to build a bit of momentum, maybe trying to give some people some minutes. I'd love to know in the chat. Let me know. Rotate or don't rotate? Let me know in the comments down below. Would you go with a team that's going to be the team that's moving into the knockout stages? Or are you trying to get some people some minutes? Let me know in the comments below. Go to rotate or not rotate. If Henderson plays, I think it will be certainly for Bellingham. I honestly don't think that's the end of the world. You keep an absolute integral player in Bellingham, safe and sound for that next game. And I also think we could quite possibly play a little bit better if he is to bring Henderson in here. And then higher up the pitch, there's going to be changes as well. Chat's saying generally rotate. They'd like some rotation in this team. So let me know what kind of moves you would like. Some people talking about Kane being rested. We'll move over to it now, actually, because there are some options here. And so one of these options that I think could be really, really interesting is... My frustration with Saka is that he's dropping quite deep a lot of the time. And I want to see him in that role that he plays for Arsenal. And I don't think we're seeing that at this moment in time. So one thing that I think that could happen that I think would be really nice is if you do play Saka in this game, or even if you play Rashford in this game, play Grealish. Play Grealish on the left-hand side. And obviously you're going to have an attacking midfield. It's going to be Mount, it's going to be Maddison, it's going to be Foden, it's going to be one of those three. But if you were to do that, let me show you this. What I think it would do brilliantly for us is it would allow Saka to play higher and to make those diagonal runs. When Sterling's in the team, what they're doing is Saka is the guy that's dropping that little bit deeper and Sterling is the one that's looking to get him behind. But the bottom line is, I don't think Sterling in the last two games really, maybe the Iran game a little bit, but no, not really. He's sort of half coming short, but not coming short enough. But when we look at it here, because Grealish... Grealish's got the most fouls of any England player, and he's obviously been a substitute in both games. He likes to drive back into space. That can create new angles for Luke Shaw on the overlap. It can create, that crossfield pass to Saka, who can make that diagonal run. And I think we'll just get him that little bit higher up the pitch, which I would like, because I think in terms of being clinical and being able to finish, I think he's on a higher level than Sterling at this moment in time, despite that fantastic finish for Sterling in the first game against Iran. This is a team that's got Walker in it, which is another talking point that we can kind of go to. But let's have a look at a possible lineup that Southgate might go for. And then we'll have a little play around. So I'll keep an eye on the chat here, guys, because I'm intrigued to see, a few people talking about Trent. Should Trent be involved in this? And if that was the case, how would that work out? I'll have a little look at the chat here. So keep talking to me, guys. Let's go to it. So some options. So this is one road. Now, I set this up before Henderson was announced on Twitter over the last sort of couple of minutes or hour, let's say. And I wonder if he was going to go down this road. And this is what I was talking about in terms of having that setup of Grealish, who I think has earned himself a start, if I'm honest. He's come on. There's been all this talk about Foden. And we do need to talk about this Foden dilemma that I've titled this when it comes to Southgate. Because what the problem that he's done here is he's kind of cornered himself a little bit, because obviously he's going to need Foden at some point, but he's also got to kind of retain an element of power. And if he sort of completely breaks down to the will of the people in terms of saying and putting him in this attacking midfield role, he kind of goes against exactly what he said. I think he said to himself after that interview, why have I said that Foden doesn't play through the middle? I think he's panicked there and made a comment that people have been able to really, really get their claws into, because I don't think he's got a problem with playing Foden there. I'd be surprised. I mean, maybe he has. Phillips for Rice is an interesting one as well. Let's dive into that then. So, because I've got the whole setup here that I can do right now. We can start to have a little bit of a play. Now, this, with that new news that we've got from Southgate, or it seems like from sources with Southgate, this is what I think he will do. This is the team that I think he will play. And I feel like it's one where there's a lot of changes that can be made here. And you guys were saying rotate or don't rotate. There's also the option, right, of playing a back three. So let's move back to the fullback positions. I think in terms of players that Southgate just won't change, because if you're going to totally change it, you could bring in Cody. Because our second 11 should be doing good things against Wales. Let's be honest. Or certainly should be losing 4-0. So when it comes to Southgate, and we know what he's like, it's about staying away from risk. And so if you want to stay away from risk, rotation is the way to go, right? Because we've got a really, really good squad here, and we're very close to being to topping the group. But I think he'll be caught between that and this idea of, wanting to, of course, win the game and top the group. I think Shaw definitely plays. I think Maguire definitely plays. I think Stones definitely plays. The only thing I do wonder is, if Maguire and some of the concerns with him, Ash has got a super chat here. He's saying Trippier at right back is a major problem. I think that's a major overreaction, Ash, if I'm honest. I'm sorry. I thought he was poor in that game, but let's not forget where we were a few days ago talking about Trippier, who was in and is in incredible form. In absolutely incredible form. 1 to 11, they were useless in the USA game, right? But the reason I think Southgate would stick with Trippier is because moving into the knockout stages, what are we doing here? Are we sticking with a 4? I think if we're playing Senegal, I think we might kind of continue down that road, or Ecuador, right? But if we are going to go to that 3, which he may well do, someone like Kyle Walker, and we're focusing on this risk, right? Kyle Walker knows how to play right back. And in terms of match fitness, I'm not sure Kyle Walker needs it, if I'm honest. If you're really going to bring him in, you're going to bring him in regardless. So I think the one thing that you could do is you could play Walker, hoping he gets a bit of match fitness. All of a sudden he's injured. All of a sudden you've lost that key component in that back 3 that Southgate likes to play, where you've got someone like Kyle Walker who can really help out in terms of those recovery runs if they're going to play a back 3. The bottom line is with Trent, he doesn't fancy him defensively. I've got to be honest, I think in a game like this against Wales, he's going to be up against Bale, who's going to drift inside. Who's it going to be? Nico Williams, who will kind of bomb on, but likes to actually cut inside as well. So I think in terms of the concern of Trent, I only see Gareth Southgate using Trent in a game where, as an attacking fullback, when we need a goal. But this is a game, if you do want to give him minutes, this is the one to do it. And if we're talking about rotation, so let's go down this rotation road, right? Did you say you wanted £2 back? Sorry, mate. I disagreed. But this is football. There's opinions, right? You could do Trent, because the great thing is, if you're going to bring in Henderson, those two know how to play together. You can sort of have him there to sort of make that work. Obviously, he's going to bomb on, and he's used to playing in a back 4 as well. So this could well be a really, really nice game for Trent, especially against the opposition that we're going to play here. That's why I'm so confused about Wales. Like, what road are they going to go down? But if we are looking to, why pick him if you don't trust him? I think because he's an incredible world-class asset. I'm not Gareth Southgate. I'd happily play him in a game like this. I don't see a problem with that. I think people going... I think the Foden clamour is far more reasonable than the Trent clamour. I think Trent has not been in great form this year. And Trippier has been very solid. And USA, their strongest area was that left-hand side. And so that's why he played Trippier in that game, But Trent would be great in this game. And if we're continuing with that rotation... Rice, I wouldn't hate a little switch up there. You could bring Phillips in there as well and completely change that too. I wonder if Southgate wants to get Henderson in there with Rice just to sort of talk him through a game. I think he really sees Henderson as a manager on the pitch. Let's talk about this Foden dilemma. As I said, because of what the words that he said, he's made life very difficult for himself. Because if he then just all of a sudden plays Mount in this central role, it makes life tricky for him. I've got a really funny feeling, he's going to play Foden out here. I call me crazy, and I know he hasn't done it, and it would mean that he would jump ahead of Rashford. But I really wouldn't be surprised if he did that. I think he'll play. If he does play Foden, I think he'll play him on that side. But I think, look, if we're really rotating it all, I think Mount needs to come out, if I'm honest. I think he needs a break. This is what I would do. I would put Foden there, but I don't think Southgate's going to go and do it. I think he actually prefers Maddison. and Maddison getting into those positions would be great. But again, you've got someone coming back from fitness. Do you want to take that risk? Look, every single decision has a plus and a minus, right? And Callum Wilson, I think Kane needs a rest. I really, really do. And, that team there, with all those changes, that team should still be beating Wales. It's as simple as that. Absolutely simple as that. I'm just looking at the chat down beneath me right now. There's no reason why that doesn't work. I think he's going through every single... This isn't just a game. This is a game that leads to other games, hopefully, right? And he needs to think about what he wants. Does he want players fit? Does he want players in form? And when he's thinking of players in form, it's not Mason Mount. And so then the question comes. Here's the question with Mason Mount, right? Do you stick with Mount to try and give him that opportunity, like Maguire who has been given, to get that form back? Give me a yes or give me a no. Is it just as simple as we've got so much quality on the bench that we need to go elsewhere? Because Mount's not a bad footballer, right? He just isn't, okay? And if you're saying it, then, why is he getting all these opportunities? Why is he always Lampard's guy? Why was he always Tuchel's guy? Why is he now Potter's guy? It's because he's a really good footballer, but he's not in good form. And I think he's struggling with the critique a little bit from a lot of people. So do you take him out? Or do you give him that opportunity to sort of find that form? This is the thing, guys, and this channel is for the silent majority. I say this every single time. There's no right answers and there's no wrong answers a lot of the time until you see it in the light of day. We all go into games thinking one thing or another, and it depends on often what team you support, and you start rooting for players that are associated with those teams. You could play Saka because he's been playing well. Sterling, I think Sterling needs to come out here. I think we've got too many good options there, and I think he can be ruthless. I think Grealish has earned his chance. Declan Rice, could he do with that little break? Or does he need to keep playing to get used to that position to get on the ball? Big questions. I'm going to go to the chat now, and you guys can give me some little options and swaps here if you think it would work. In terms of Maddison, I guess the question mark there is, again, the form is there. Does he need those minutes? What is the most important thing here? Fitness, minutes, form. Which one do you guys think? I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say. Vaxtra says, I really like Mount, but I think he needs benching to show that Southgate will bench him. Yep. I would take Mount out. I think he's struggling a little bit. Ben White at right back? Possibly. I think Ben White getting some minutes. Do you know what would be good? I think and he could do this, is if you go to the 3-4-3, and again, it's not 5 at the back when people say it is. If you went to a 3-4-3, you could get Trent involved, I guess, a bit more. But just as importantly, you could give Ben White, who, if you are going to play a back three against the Frances, the Spains, those top sides, and Kyle Walker gets injured, to give Ben White a couple of minutes playing on that side could be really, really useful. What else we got? Rashford up top. Yeah, don't hate it. I think he's got a real impact on that right wing. I've quite enjoyed him out there. It's going to be there or up top. I mean, it's been a bit of talk about something like Wilson and Kane together in a bit of a 4-4-2. That was Theo Baker was saying that. So you play a 4-4-2 and play Kane essentially here, and have these two guys here. I think you're going to need a lot of work rate out of these two. Could make life a little bit dangerous. But 4-4-2 is starting to come back into vogue a little bit. Rashi is the number 9, some people saying. Any chances to play as a front two, says Callum. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting for him to change his shape once again at this stage. Phillips in for fitness. Again, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. And this is the other thing, you've got those 5... substitutes that you can make. So you can bring in those first-team players back in. Like, there's a lot of changes there. And actually, do you know what? If you really want to be safe, you could play Trippier on the left-hand side, right? And the reason you play Trippier on the left-hand side is because if he were to get injured, or if Luke Shaw were to get injured, you have no you have no left-sided player there, really, right? And there's a lot of people saying, get Trippier in and play him as left-back because he's not as good as Shaw. The thing with Shaw on that left side is he will be able to overlap with comfort and cross the ball with that left foot. Trippier's never really going to do that. And so that would end up tweaking it a little bit. I mean, Trippier might work with someone like Sterling, who you could say, you stay up there, right? And almost play as a forward. And then you don't have that overlap. You just have him there as a contingency to sort of whip those balls in with his right foot. That could be the other thing. What about Bellingham? I think when we're talking about Bellingham, I think, again, it's about safeguarding him for the next round. I think he's been really, really brilliant. Those third man runs have been great from him, and I think you want to sort of have him ready. White James, we just spoke about it. I think there's an option of that. I think you could definitely do as well. Let's keep going down this rotation road, right? Because there's no reason, and also maybe White he's going to play Maguire. So actually, I was going to say him as a left-sided player. Maybe that's something you could do, but it probably wouldn't be. But you could certainly do this. And actually, you could just swap these around as well, because I think Dyer came on for Maguire, didn't he, the other day? So you could do that as well. Honestly, you could change the whole team. And that team should still beat Wales, you know? I think, like someone just said it there, it's criminal Foden and Trent Alexander aren't regular starters, wasting generational talents. I think the Trent thing, I think people are getting carried away with it. I think Trippier's in incredible form, and in international football, we're all set up for it. That's why Trent's not been in there. I think there's a lot of people that can understand that. Look, if you have to bring him in, you don't have to worry about that. But he has cost Liverpool on several occasions, and we're not going to play that heavy metal football. We're not going to get as forward and that is the bottom line. That is the style of Southgate, and as frustrating as it is for people, that's why he leans towards Trippier or Kyle Walker, because he trusts them that little bit more, right? Bloydie says Trent is understandable. What else we got? Good point on resting Shaw. Yeah, I'm. A lot of people talk about the sort of lack of competition with him and how that affects him. I think that might be the case. I think it might. But look, as a left-sided player, we have very little options there. So I think you would. I think it would be worth keeping him safe, right? And final thing, I guess you could do if you want to kind of keep Saka involved, right? Or you could play. You could also play Foden on this right-hand side. The 4 doesn't. It's not minging. I think the problem is that he's a little bit scared, because this could work, right? That could work really nicely as well. There's so many different options, guys. So many different options. And again, I think, the thing that I think is so important is that we kind of stay calm here, guys, because when you have as many options as we've got, you're all just going to get... People get really annoyed. And it's funny because we're missing the point of it, is that we've got loads of options. This is just his choice. There's not that many right answers. So let's trust the boys. Let's trust the lad in Southgate. I think, look, it's got to be more positive. But again, Southgate completely deserves to be back. I'm not even going to talk about that. The players have to if they want to be World Cup winners, they need to take responsibility to get the ball, play with confidence, demand the ball, and play the ball forward. It's as simple as that. And that's, I think, why Foden does need to get some minutes now, because I think Mount is struggling a little bit. And I think Foden, that you're going to get that with someone like him. I think he's just that special, right? So that's my England versus Wales preview. In terms of a prediction, I think they'll open up for us a little bit, and I think that will make life decent. And with that in mind, I think we'll get maybe a 2-1 victory. I think maybe Kiefer Moore might be able to offer something, or Brennan Johnson, if they do go down that route, because they will need to go and score goals, right? But we should be winning these games. And I'll be so annoyed if we don't top the group, because I still think the Netherlands will win their group. And so whoever is in second place, I mean, Ecuador, this World Cup has proven how hard it is to win games of football. But you want to just give yourself the best chance you can. Right, guys, there are 1,000 of you watching right now. YouTube's a tough place right now because there's too much content on there, okay? So what I need you to do is I need you to hit the like button, and I need you to comment down below with your 11, and I need you to hit the subscribe button. Let the YouTube algorithm know that this is a decent channel, okay? That's what we need right now. Help me, help you, help you, help me. All right? I'll be at the game. There will be a reaction. Hopefully it's a good one. And then we have the scary thought of Rory Jennings coming out to Qatar and me and him watching a knockout game. Yeah, someone's going to get angry. That's for sure. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Lots of love. Hope you're all well. I'll speak to you guys soon. I'm off to go and watch Uruguay